Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, December 1st. Holy crap, 2023 went fast. I can't believe we're 1 month till we're done. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What a year. Jeez, oh man. Happy December.
Woo. Happy December, boys.
Yeah. Championship Saturday tomorrow. If you're a college football fan, big day for you. We will get into that in a second. Guys, I just want to say something real quick. Last episode, we finished up talking about the family opportunity mortgage. That's when you're able to buy a property for a disabled child or an elderly parent if they can't qualify by themselves, and you can buy it as a primary residence instead of a investment property. Ended up getting a pre-approval request about that yesterday, so love to see when the chatter's working and getting the word out there. So again, crazy scenarios sometimes in the mortgage world. Sometimes there are scenarios that can help you that you don't know about until you talk to a loan officer. So if you ever have any questions, just another plug to call one of us. There we go.
Solid. I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, well, we're still working on the pre-approval, but, at least to have that call to give that opportunity. And again, now with even 2 to 4 units on Fannie Mae, coming across with Match and Freddie in some cases, you can go 5% down with a lot more properties than you used to be able to. So trying to find a multi-unit property, live in one. I'm even talking about, Tom, and this might be a little bit past you, but this younger generation, we've been all told to go to college for 20, 30 years. Now that's starting to shift finally. But housing is so expensive. Maybe you buy a house with a couple buddies and you do some day trading out of it for the next 5 to 7 years, and you're all on the mortgage. You're all paying the mortgage. It's cheaper to do that than rent. Maybe you got a bunch of friends that want to be influencers, and now you buy a house to do TikToks and YouTubes. Like, people may laugh at that idea, but I think the idea of buying houses with friends, our generation or the generation younger is getting married later. They may not be going to college. So those 20s, buy the house, save up some years of equity. When you guys sell it, that gives you a little nest egg to go your own way, or you buy your friend out and you continue living in it. I mean, it would give you so many opportunities. And if you're pulling a couple of funds together, it's not a bad idea that I see coming down the road here.
No, yeah, it's tough for the affordability factor on the younger generation just getting out of school or whatnot to be able to afford a home, especially as they increased in value as well as the rates going up. So if you don't have that significant other, it could be a burden to try to pay a $2,000 a month mortgage. But I mean, having that significant other or having a person living with you, I do think the roommate factor will come back. I know you work with you help certain types of people that they have to do that to start, living here in America and get going. So they all do it. And it's a great way to get home ownership. You're still building equity, even though you're sharing it with somebody.
Yeah. I mean, the tough part is when you decide to sell, or if someone wants to sell, that would be a part you have to talk about. But to buy a home with a couple buddies or a couple girlfriends and live in it for a couple years and gain equity, I mean, that's a heck of an investment to start in your early 20s. So I think that's going to be way more affordable. There's a ton of jobs now that you can work from home. COVID has really shifted that around for us. So it's not as crazy as it used to be.
No, there's a great $1 million home in Butler too for those YouTubers. Just 5 YouTubers jump on in that house. I'll write the mortgage for that.
Hey, I watched this video last week, and maybe Anth, you're probably the only one that would know. There's some new Lamborghini that's super popular in Southern California. I'm not a car guy. I forget the name of it, but
Cybertruck, I think.
No, this car is probably $500,000, 400,000, something like that. But they're everywhere. They said in Beverly Hills, sometimes you go around, you see 12 of these Ventadors or whatever the heck they are. Groups of people will buy these together. Like me, Tom, and Anthony go together and buy a Lamborghini. We split the payment, and we also split the time we have it. We all have it for a week, and then the next person has it for a week just for social status. I mean,
I'm in for that. And then we could Toro at the 4th week of every month and try to make half our money back.
Could you imagine what that car payment would be? Maybe. I have seen those places where if you buy the expensive car and rent it out per day in like Miami, and you make 6 figures, piece of cake. You're sleeping by 8 p.m. every night.
I think it's called the Revolto, Lamborghini Revolto.
Maybe
It's the new 224 model.
potentially, but all right, guys. I keep getting questions on seller assistance. This part of the mortgage world and real estate world is coming back like a snowball rolling down a hill. But we still have so many questions because it hasn't been around for so long. And to us, I feel like seller assistance is baby building block 101, and it's very easy to understand. But obviously, there's something there that makes it a little bit confusing. So the first thing I want to say, seller assistance, I feel like can be confusing because we talk about adding seller assistance. But when we talk about adding it, we're just adding it to your offer. You can't think of adding as dollars and cents because it's actually a subtraction. So we're adding a subtraction. And I think that's what confuses everyone. But seller assistance is a deduction for the buyer from the seller. And it's the same thing as if the seller has to drop the price. So let's say a $300,000 house, you can ask for 3% seller assistance. Hey, Ant, let's do some math. That's $9,000 last time I checked, right?
$9,000.
Okay. That's $9,000 of seller assistance the seller can give to the buyer if it's negotiated. If you drop the sales price by $9,000, it is the exact same thing to the seller. Tom, am I crazy?
I don't think so. No, that's right.
9,000 in this hand, 9,000 in this hand, same exact thing to the seller. The seller doesn't care, right? They only care about their bottom line. Do they care why they're giving the $9,000? Either their house isn't selling, they need to drop price, or this offer came in asking for some seller assistance. So another thing I always hear, oh, well, seller assistance is the way to finance your closing costs. I've never put an offer in a day in my life. I have bought a house or two in my day. And when I put in offers, I feel like that offer is a negotiation. I can't always say, if I offered $300,000 with 3% seller assistance, they won't take it automatically. We have to, offer 309 with the 9,000 seller assistance. Why? I get it. If it's 2 years ago, yes, then certain markets, dictate certain things. But if it's an average offer, is it really financing or is it part of your offer?
It's not. We don't have a Kelly Blue Book for houses. I mean, this is what the listing agent's saying the prices should be with the seller. I mean, that's not a set in stone thing. You're allowed to offer whatever you want. I just had somebody offer $35,000 less than the sales price, and you know what? It got negotiated, and it was only $30,000 less. It is possible. You just got to do it. You got to negotiate it.
Don't mistake me if I'm wrong. You even had an agent you worked with to put together a deal closing in May?
That's impossible. That's impossible.
Yeah,
we actually we put it together last week. I got it earlier this week. It's a Friday. Wow, days are tripping me up. Put it in earlier this week, but it's closing mid-May, and we worked it up. We talked about it for a week. The seller went back and forth. They negotiated that they want the appraisal done within 30 days, and we'll have to get a recertification just so that's not something that will fall out a couple months down the road. But
right.
I mean, you're going to have to start looking at these timelines and reading that contract, changing dates and making things work, because houses will sit and they're going to keep sitting if they don't have that buyer or the right financing or offer to put in.
It's like asking that pretty girl, right? She can't say no unless you ask. So put the offer in some seller assistance. The worst they can say is no, or they'll come back encounter. But with the seller assistance, you can use it in so many ways, Al, that it's so helpful to the buyer. Just agents get the seller assistance. Let us know, hey, here's the seller assistance, and we can talk to the buyer. Hey, are we dropping this off your closing cost? Do you want to lower your rate with this? Do you want to drop off mortgage insurance? There's so many different things we can do, and it's very important to buyers these days. So again, call us if you got any questions about seller assistance over the weekend. Anthony, you got anything to add to wrap this baby up?
Yeah, I mean, seller assistance is solid. I mean, we can use it for so many things, but the old adage of, especially in this market, is added to the purchase price. I don't think a lot of people realize appraisers don't give value to an increased price just because of seller's assist. So when people were upset if it doesn't appraise, well, I mean, it was worth more of what it was listed for, which in turn, like you were saying, we look at it as a deduction, not adding it to the purchase price, right, in most cases. So ask for that seller's assist. The worst they could say is no, and you can save some money if you get it.
Absolutely. All right. Real quick, we'll talk about Championship Saturday with our expert gambler, Thomas. So, Tommy, college football coming to an end. The college football playoffs will be starting. Will we have a disaster scenario where, let's say, Alabama wins and we have 5 teams ready, or are we going to have all undefeateds going into this thing?
I think there's going to be yet another disaster in college football. You want to know why? College football is a disaster.
Yeah, okay.
They haven't been able to get it going for a while. I think they're finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, extending the playoffs, putting some more teams in there. That's what the people want. They don't want to go see the Michelin Bowl on December 13th or whatever we got. Right. So they want to see more playoffs. They want to see more action. Cut out the UT Tennessee Martin game in the beginning of the year. You don't need to play all those. Let's see some action. These kids definitely can play 13, 14 games in their respect, because if they go to the next level, they're going to have to play 20 if they go into the playoffs. So I think that college football will see yet another disaster before they could get through the end of the tunnel next year with a extended.
I am excited. I love disasters. That's my favorite thing to watch. Secondly, Florida State may be undefeated, but their star quarterback is now hurt and out. So the biggest debate is, do they deserve to be in, or does the committee look at their current status of the team and say, well, because your quarterback is out, that's going to ding you even if you are undefeated?
That could, and yet another disaster for college football. If they don't put Florida State in and they win this week, that is a crime. Who's saying that the backup quarterback's not better than their starter right now? So, I mean, you got to look at what they did all season. They did the right things to make it there all year. You can't look at the future current. That would be yet another.
But Tom, that's the difference between the old BCS system that was just a computer that would have them in probably, compared to a committee that is looking at the overall team and the current status of the team. I agree with you, but I'm just saying
it comes down to one thing. If they do not put Florida State in and they win, all they care about is money, and they do not care about anybody else but the money, but the Benjamin Franklin. I almost said MFN right in the middle.
Oh, well, we can't do that. We'd be kicked off YouTube. All right, fellas. Well, we've ran long. Great episode. We got heading into the weekend, as always, open house, cost sheets, pre-approvals. We are your guys. Appreciate you watching today, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.
See ya.